Oh, Ellie. Wow. Hey everyone, it's Garrison here, and welcome back to the channel, or the Patreon, where we're currently watching from. And today, I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to episode 5 of Queendom Puzzle. This episode is where Team Queendom and Team Puzzle go head-to-head together for the vocal and rap round, and then, assumingly, in episode 6, we'll get, of course, the dance round before we kick it off into the semifinals, of course, which I have a good amount to talk about, hearing and seeing what's about to happen, unfortunately, with the voting system, I've got to say. But for Team Queendom, Team Puzzle, I'm just confused why they call this like vocal and rap round, where they're not even giving them song choices that would cater towards that kind of evaluation, you know what I'm saying? We've seen like every single Mnet survival show have something like this, and give them songs, whether it's like hip-hop rap songs for different teams, vocal teams, give them ballads straight up. And also I think this all boils down to song choice, unfortunately, again, and also obviously song choice, and when it comes to who will end up liking a certain performance more than the other. And I think it's obvious with the results that we got in episode 5 here, of course, so far with the first 2 rounds. Now, before we talk about round 1 between the 2 teams, it was unfortunate to see that recap of Soojin breaking down again. It tore me apart seeing that with the voting ballot thing and her being kicked to Team Queendom. But I felt like we only didn't see that once. We saw it twice and 3 times, where of course we had this rehearsal feedback from Rush Hour given to Weekend and saying, hey, I hope to see more expressions, blah 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 blah, right? I just don't get Mnet pushing this thing of evaluating each other just like the up-down battle, where it's much better to have the experts come to play, obviously, or us ourselves choosing the songs and choosing our favorite combinations and see our favorite pairings together to perform with each other. It took like this many episodes for us to see these kind of favorable combinations and to actually vote for the semifinal round, which is very unfortunate, I've got to say. But with that being said, of course, we saw Soojin within Team Weekend, originally by Taeyeon, Jui, of course, Soyeon, and Yeonhee. I felt like the selection of these contestants for this song was good, right? But unfortunately, majority of them, except for Jui, wanted to perform this song, everyone. Of course, most of them wanted to perform Time of Our Life by day 6. But we've seen this in the prior episodes, where if majority of the respective team doesn't end up wanting to perform the song, you're not going to see that much favorable results. Unless it was, of course, that round when we had fighting, of course, the remix battle, of course, right? And then for Rush Hour, that's originally by Crush, for Team Puzzle, this was their number 1 pick for the first round, and they got it. They got Nana, Suyeon, Yeon, Yeoram, Joa, and Yuki coming into play. In my humblest opinion, a very stacked team. And if we see the amount of members within this team, it is stacked, obviously, because if you got more members, and that means you got more people voting for that team because their favorites are within that team. But even on top of that, you got Rush Hour by Crush, I've got to say, right? Very engaging song for the crowd, and they did make it engaging, I've got to say. But in terms of MVPs between the 2 teams, I've got to say, for Rush Hour, I got to give it to Yeon and Yuki the most. That was so smart, you know, playing off each other in terms of the rap verse moment for Rush Hour. Although I really liked how it kicked off with Nana, and I felt like just with their stage presence, how some of the members were within the crowd, they provided more audience engagement than, of course, Team Weekend. And just with the car entrance, that was pretty clever, and the utilization of the couch on the backstage of all things was really cool at the same time. So you got to give it to Team Rush Hour. I think they were worthy of that win, and I had to give them the slight advantage due to those reasons. Now, for Weekend, I think I got to give it to Soojin on that swing there, being one of my MVPs, and I got to give the other MVP to Yeonhee, right? I think they executed the song really well. They kept a lot of originality to the song, right? But switched it up slightly, and I think they did justice. It's just that Rush Hour had more audience engagement and a huge plan setup, and that's just due to them over planning per se, because it seemed like they didn't focus that much in terms of recording what kind of moments which members should sing this moment. And in fact, they thought they should get rid of the bridge, which it was wrong by them to do, as building owner and those guys in the room said the bridge should be kept, right? Obviously, the bridge is so good in Rush Hour, and bridge is very essential to any song that has a bridge. So you got to give it to Team Rush Hour coming through to win that round. And then as we move on to the second round, everyone, this is where we have Team Queendom with Hopeless Romantic, originally by Big Naughty, great song choice. And then Team Puzzle for If We Ever Meet Again by Lim Young Woon. Now, that was the number one pick between the two teams in terms of their favorite song to perform. Team Puzzle got that pick right away, right? And we had Bora, K, great match in Made in Heaven, main vocalists, and all they complement each other really well. And a new romance has been spawned, because the previous relationship, as we saw, was K and Soen. I felt like majority or a good amount of this episode was K and Soen's previous relationship, moving on from there, because we got Bora and K now, and now we have Soen and Miru seemingly, and also came through with a great concept tied along to it, right? I love the projection that was being shown upon them, and we got those high notes, those special moments. But I think what was special for Team Queendom for Hopeless Romantic is how they distributed the song. And like, I feel like it was Doha who said this, we got to emphasize more on the sentimental moments in the song, you know? The other team's gonna be all about high notes and vocals, right? But we gotta bring all of our emotion into this song, and I think she had a really good point, because that clearly showed in their performance of Hopeless Romantic. So for that team, we got Dohwa, Jiwoo, Juri, and Phi, right? And I felt like this was a total coin flip in terms of who's gonna win. In fact, in my humblest opinion, round 2 was so good. It was so good to the point where I felt like either team could win. I couldn't really give the slight advantage to one of or another, right? But my personal pick would slightly go towards Hopeless Romantic at everyone, because in fact, I felt like they emphasized the sentimental moments really nicely, those tender moments. Juri got to show more of her vocal work. This is the moment where Jiwoo shines even more, of course, and just how their voices really played off each other was done so beautifully. And I have one comment that I brought up here off of the performance on YouTube, the VOD for it and all. Someone commented, it's a performance that proved that singing skills aren't everything with high notes, right? So it really goes to show you song choice has a huge play in this battle round, I've got to say. If We Ever Meet Again way more well-known locally than Hopeless Romantic by Big Naughty. In fact, Hopeless Romantic is a way newer song than If We Ever Meet Again, I've got to say. But my MVPs for Hopeless Romantic, I gotta give it to Jiwoo. I gotta give it to Jury. Those two on that team. But I think it was very well deserved for, of course, Team Puzzle to win this round with Bora and K. My MVP from that team could be both, but I gotta give it to K on that note for If We Ever Meet Again. So I think the stage setup and just how they took part to like sing each other's moments, work off each other for both teams was phenomenal. And then we move on to the final round. Now this final round, finally, Team Queendom got their one pick, which was Time of Our Life by Day 6. I can't blame them though. The song choice was very lackluster for what they provided both teams with, right? We had Time of Our Life, we had Wannabe, we had Set Me Free by Twice, and then for some reason we got Event Horizon by Yunha when that should be an option on round 2 for vocals, for emphasis on vocals every one. So what happened was Team Puzzle had to choose between Wannabe or Set Me Free. Makes sense, right? Because they already chose If We Ever Meet Again. And just to kick it off like that, they really wanted to come through with either a funky or rock rendition to Wannabe, which in my humblest opinion, really risky, but really a good payoff if it ends up being a success for Wannabe, originally by ITZY. So for that team, we had Jihan, Rina, Sanga, Uyeon, and Jiwon. I think this was a great selection of members, I've got to say. But I think what really played a huge part for me to enjoy some of the performance, mind you, was Jihan coming through with her guitar skills and mustering the courage to come through and try out the electric guitar. She really made that impactful moment when she smashed the guitar, even though she wasn't playing it live, to be fair. At least she actually recorded herself playing the electric guitar for the performance, you know what I'm saying? So my MVPs from that team gotta be Jihan and Uyeon. Their vocal work and presence was amazing. And then for Time of Our Life, the main centerpiece, highlight of this episode that really wraps it up so well, and it works so well to Team Queendom's advantage as they have their choice in performing first or second, and this was the right choice to really perform second, to be the team to really leave a longer kind of impression and to give a finale per se. So we had, for this team, we had Hwiso, Soeun, Ellie, Miru, and Chaerin, right? And honestly, for Ellie, Miru, and Chaerin, I am so happy for them to finally get their highlightable moments in Queendom Puzzle. Now, for those who know, Ellie has been more than capable than that up-down battle round that she showcased, right? Forgetting the lyrics, a lot of nerves coming into play, but then finally showing all that energy and presence within Time of Our Life. I gotta say, my MVPs were majority of them, pretty much all of them, but I gotta give it to Hwiso and Ellie within that. I still remember Hwiso's wink during the group selfie with the crowd, and all that was super iconic and memorable. And I just liked how they had that Polaroid photo stage for the setup and all, and utilized a certain kind of concept in the performance. And Young K is right. Their advantage is that this song has a sing-alongable moment that anyone can recognize if you're familiar of Time of Our Life by Day 6, right? Just bringing the crowd together so naturally. Nothing needs to be forced. Once you get into that climax and finale, everyone can start singing along and enjoying the performance as a whole. So, assumingly, hopefully, Team Queendom wins that round because unfortunately they blurted out, they played with us, they left us on a cliffhanger to wait for episode 6, another week to see what happens for the third round. But I think they win without a doubt because personally for me, I have to give Time of Our Life that advantage, or just due to their performance versus Wannabe. Wannabe, it was great with the electric guitar and all, but I gotta say, a lot of people like me wanted to see more of the dance. Sure, this is a vocal and rap round, and even the members said we should focus more so on the vocals and rap, right? Sure, it's the vocals and rap round, and this just goes back to my main point at the start of this video, is like, it boils down to song choice yet again every once. Like, why did they give these certain kind of songs for the third round, right? Give like certain songs, like sing-alongable songs like Time of Our Life, to be readily available for the teams to pick from, And for this, I just felt like they went slightly too much to the right or left in terms of the approach for Wannabe, because there's a lot of iconic, choreography moments and dance moments and peak moments within Wannabe that shouldn't be left out, right? So I felt like there was just too much focus on vocals and rap for Wannabe. In fact, I just didn't really mess with Sanga's rap moment with her own verses coming into play. Like, not necessarily the first verse that she came through with, but the second verse where she met up with Team Time of Our Life there on the side and just like went all out with it and all. It just wasn't fitting for me. It was actually off-putting. Like, I have nothing against Sanga. As some may know, I'm a multi stan and I love all of these contestants on this show. It's just that second verse did not do it for me, and it just swung too far away from the original song, even though Yunhee said, wow, they kept a lot of the originality of the song. I just, it just didn't do that much justice for Wannabe, originally by ITZY. So, in terms of how this played out, I think this was fair, although if it was my kind of vote, I would give it to Rush Hour, then I'd give it to Hopeless Romantic, then I would give it to Time of Our Life in terms of personal favorites, I've got to say, everyone. And last but not least, I want to share my personal votes based off of this episode and what I've seen leading up to this episode of Chorus, and I'll be talking about, what is gonna happen before we get into the next episode. So my personal votes went as follows, as shown on the screen here. Ellie, I felt like she's shown so much and also a lot of amount of growth within this show, and she really deserves my vote, especially after her performance with Team Time of Our Life. Yuram and Yeon, I think it was a hard choice. At this point I would probably even put Jiwoo here, but I gotta support Yuram. I really loved Yeon's performance, and last time around I voted for Yuki, so I gotta switch again back to Yeon. I got to vote for Jury. I really loved her vocal work during Hopeless Romantic. I had to either pick Jihan, Soojin, or Joa or Soeun for this, but I ended up voting for Jihan. And then I have Kay. She's been lock-in ever since episode 1, honestly. Like, I just have that number one pick favorite that I'm always gonna vote for, and she came through and delivered yet again. That's not that surprising, I've got to say. And last but not least, I voted for Huiso because I really love her performance and presence within Time of Our Life, right? So those are my votes. Be sure to let me know your votes. But last but not least, I gotta say right away here, now it's revealed that there's gonna be elimination. Why, Mnet? Why is there elimination now on Queendom Puzzle? Can we just see all the contestants perform together and just, see the finale and all? I get that you can end up forcing people to vote and narrow down their votes for the finale and all, but let's just see all of them together. You don't need this pointless elimination moment here, and I guess it makes sense when we were voting for the 3 semifinal songs, right? If you guys remember doing that vote, 21 slots in total were available for each song, right? For each song we had 7, 7, 7, making 21, and at most 5 contestants will be eliminated from Queendom puzzle before the semifinals, unfortunately. So continuing to do what you need to do, vote for your favorites who you want to see continue on this show. It's just unfortunate that we have to deal with Mnet and their schemes again, and elimination, which is by far one of the most cruel things, right up there next to the voting ballot that happened. But yeah, so far I think it's gonna be a really huge toss-up into episode 6 of either Team Queendom or Puzzle to win. It seems like Team Puzzle has its favor. Makes sense considering who's on that team. But it's gonna be Bad Blood, Overwater, Web, and Glow Up facing off each other. I think it's Bad Blood versus Overwater and Web versus Glow Up. And based on like how the songs went on the previews, Overwater really caught my attention, especially Soojin within that preview for the performance of Overwater, I've got to say. And if I recall correctly, Bad Blood had Joa and Jihan, which is crazy too, I've got to say. So be sure to let me know your thoughts. Be sure to like, subscribe, as it helps out the channel and it goes a long way, I've got to say, everyone. Take care as always. This has been Garrison, and peace.